Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Deja Vu. I'm bringing you another audio commentary from the series of Samsung Con versus Estro. This is going to be, I believe, Game 4? Yeah, Game 4. This is Gosi flying the Protoss for Estro, and great Samsung Con's top Zerg fighting on Glaive. I have seen nothing but TVTs on Glaive. I think there's something like 12 TVTs played and maybe like a total of 8 other types of games played, 7 other types of games played. So if it's not a TVT, it's hard to really gauge who has some sort of an advantage overall, at least by map statistics anyways. But you might have to say it looks like it might be somewhat Zerg favored just because of there's a lot of winding, circuitous routes here and there around the map that could come into play. But it's hard to say for sure whether this is really going to become a Zerg favored map or a Protoss favored map in this matchup. All we know for sure really is that well, Terrans do quite well on it. So other than that, not a lot to say in terms of map imbalances. Definitely to note though is that this is Gosi Flang's second game. In his first game last season, he took down Jae Hoon in a PvP. So Gosi currently has a 100% win rate. Look at that. Let's see how long he can keep this going. If he can win this, that'd be awesome. Then he'd have a 2-game 100% win rate for as much as that counts, or as awesome as that is for a 100% win rate for all of 2 games. But still, kind of cool. He's got that chance to get his first 2 wins in the Pro League, which would be pretty sweet for him. And then Great is actually quite a solid player overall. He's over 55% in every single matchup. Not a lot of guys can really say that. I think... trying to think of who can. J-Dong, Bisu, Flash for sure. And then maybe Fantasy. I don't even know for sure if Fantasy is over 50% in everything. Or 55% in everything. Probably. I think Iris and Cal are. Maybe a few others. But there's certainly no more than maybe 10 players in the entire league. And all of them would be very, very well known and very popular and very, very strong players. Most of them have probably won Star Leagues even. So it is quite an accomplishment for Great to be in that category, 55% and up. However, he doesn't really seem to get the notoriety of a lot of these other players like an Iris or a Cal or something else, just because he doesn't necessarily advance very far in Star Leagues, doesn't really do as much, doesn't play as many significant games as a lot of the other players. So it's kind of deceiving there, but overall he is a pretty solid player, especially last season. He really came into his own. Wow, Gosi looks like he's tiny. Gosi looks like he's like 15 or something. Jeez. He looks like he could be my little brother, and I don't even have a little brother. Wow. I didn't realize that he was so young. He looks tiny. I'm going to start calling him the little one at this rate. He looks like a little one. But, yeah, I think that was an overpool build that we saw from Great. So, Gosi was able to throw it on his Nexus before cannon, and that cannon should be up in time. He'll be able to throw it on a gateway. Yeah, there it is. And then just block the gap in there, and 1 cannon will be enough to defend that. As long as he pulls off maybe 1 more probe, probably, to defend that choke, and that should be enough to defend that. To stop it. He's got 3, so there's more than enough there. Gosi successfully building his wall, and it looks like Great's going to throw up a hidden expansion here at the bottom left. That's the natural expansion of the bottom left main. This is a 3-person map if you did not know. So we're going to see a little bit of, we'll see if Gosi can detect this at all. This is one of the disadvantages of the Protoss Fast Expand is the complete lack of map control for the first 5 minutes or so. Until that first Corsair comes back, you really have no idea what's going on, especially if you lose your scouting probe. Luckily for Gosi, this is still going, so he's still getting some sort of idea of the timing and the build that's going up for Great. But if this probe were to go down shortly, that could be pose huge problems for him, just because he wouldn't know that there's a 3rd hatch. He wouldn't even know that there's the type of build that was coming his way. So he's got to prepare for a 2-base build and a possible 3-base build. It's just a really troublesome situation. And looks like Gosi's probe has been ushered away by those Zerglings and look like they're wandering around the map. If it finds that 3rd base, that's just going to be, wow, that's going to be great. That'd be hilarious and quite amazing. But I was almost wondering, I don't know what Gosi means, but looking at my keyboard, it looks like he was trying to type Gosu and accidentally misclicked on the U and hit I and came up with Gosi. Maybe it's a running joke or something. And so now he calls himself the Gosi. And the joke around Estro is that everyone's goal is to become Gosi. I don't know. I was just wondering what Gosi means. But it looks like he is going to find this hatchery at that natural expansion of the bottom left. That is huge. That means that Great now has to defend that base with quite some force, with just as much force. It's just as much of a target as his natural is, and that's going to be a very long reinforcement raid. Obviously, there's no chance of him getting any sort of Nidus Canal anytime soon. So he's going to really have to play hardcore in order to defend that base. We do see a Stargate and a Citadel going down, so this is going to be for Corsair Reaver, at least to start with. And we'll see how much damage he's able to do. This is going to be 3 Hatch Spire coming right now from Great, and I cannot get over how little Gosi looks. Like, every time they flash over to him, I just think he looks like such a little baby. Like, not insulting, not in any sort of insulting way in any way, shape, or form. It's just he looks so young. Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, Great is reinforcing that rate at the bottom left, because they're getting a lot of drones down there, so that's pretty important right now, that he's trying to drone up as much as possible. Probably gonna have to throw down, use a couple of those drones as sunken colonies. Probably trying to time it out with those Zerglings outside of Gosi's base. Gonna try and time out when Gosi pushes out, and uses a couple of those drones on sunken colonies, as well as uses the Zerglings that are already out in order to defend here. There are 3 Zealots putting up a pretty solid wall, and Gosi did take note of the back entrance to his base, threw up a Cybernetics Score to form half a wall, and then put a Zealot in there as well to help defend. And now we see the Corsair wandering around, going to see the extra hatcheries being thrown down, knows that this is going to be a normal Neo Sauron 5-hatch Hydra build that everyone loves to do, and is that created the oh so talked about matchup imbalances in the Protoss versus Zerg matchup. And it looks like there's going to be some Scourge being produced. I think there's some Scourge being produced at a couple of the different hatcheries. Looking around, going to try and pick off some of these early Corsairs. And looks like actually that 5th hatchery went down at the bottom left-hand base. So yeah, that is going to be able to be easily reinforced there. 2 hatcheries worth of units should be able to put up a pretty solid defense at the bottom left once that hatchery pops up and he can start producing some units. Although it looks like, no, those are just Zerglings. For a second I thought Gosi was already pushing out here before he was able to produce any Dark Templars, but he probably will be doing that anyways. And there it is. Here comes the push. The 4 Zealot push going to try and do some damage. 5 Zealot push going to try and do some damage. And they are speed upgraded. And +1 is not quite finished yet, but they are speed upgraded, moving towards that bottom left-hand base. And there's not a whole lot there. There's 1 creep colony going up in an evolution chamber, but not a sunken. That is not yet a sunken. Now Great is not moving those Zerglings back. He really needs to get those Zerglings back. And here comes the Zealots. They're going to be able to take down that sunken colony easy peasy. And then it's just going to be Zergling or Zealots on drone actions. The drones are actually running away here. Zerglings are trying to come back, but it looks like a couple of these drones are going to go down. Another creep colony trying to go up, but that thing's going to go down as well. 2 drones are dead now due to that encounter. 3 drones are going to go down as well. And now that he's starting to pick up that evolution chamber, Gosi is. So Gosi is doing a very good job here. And now he's just forcing Great to micro as well as he can. I think he's going to pick up another drone here. Yeah, he's going to pick up a 4th drone here and going to be able to start picking up this evolution chamber some more. And now Gosi is still going to try and engage here. He might actually be able to use that ramp to his advantage as well, taking out a lot of Zerglings here. And those 5 Zealots are doing so much damage, and still none of them have gone down. A sunken colony at the background has been able to come up and has produced some sort of semblance of defense here. But this is a really bad spot for Great. Great has to get rid of those Zealots, whether it's producing a couple of Mutalisks or just force-feeding himself up that ramp onto those Zealots. He's got to get rid of those forces. Without those forces going away, he's going to have to station a lot of troops here to defend, and that's what we're seeing here. Normally a Zerg player would never push up this ramp with this army composition, but if he leaves this, and he leaves 4 or 5 Zealots up there, he's going to be in such a bad spot if those Zealots ever decide to come back down that ramp. So that's why we're seeing sort of Great forcing himself up here, and expending a lot of resources really to take that down. Definitely more than he would have wanted. And we see some Lurkers out as well, but Gosi sees this, and a lot of Scourge come in, pick off 1, 2 Corsairs do go down, to that massive number of Scourge. A couple of Overlords will be going down as well, and the Lurkers are pushing. I'm going to start going towards the natural expansion of Gosi, and we'll see whether Gosi has any observers yet. I didn't see a robotics facility, haven't really been looking. And now some more Zealots coming in for Gosi, and I don't know if this is going to be really all that successful. 2 sunken colonies as well as a Hydros. It's not going to be great. 1 sunken colony goes down. There's still 1 more sunken colony